Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Zanny, and I'm back for round 2 of my guide. I did make that one a little long. I'm going to try to edit down the first one, but I'm still taking my break for VR, and we're going to get back in touch with my roots. So I tried very early on to do tutorials and guides for Warthunder, and it was bad. It was really bad. I didn't have a mic, I didn't know how to edit, I didn't know how to do anything right. I was using captions which don't even work anymore, but the videos are still archived. I've unlisted them, but I still have a folder of my failed videos, including when I was first testing my Elgato out a couple weeks ago, in there. And it actually got a surprising amount of hits, probably because YouTube sees me, I wouldn't say as an authority. I hope it doesn't see me authority of War Thunder, but it knows I have a history of posting War Thunder that actually got hits. And I got a few subscribers back in the day from it. Somehow, I really don't get that one. But at any rate, this one's going to be focused on ammunition, because it makes such a huge difference. We're going to load up one of the first boats you're going to drive. Most people like the US. It's not bad, especially their naval bombers. I love their naval bombers. But you don't get any fancy toys or auxiliaries or anything like that early on. You're going to get these two little 50 cals, and most of them are going to be like that, with the exception of, like, I think the Germans get like a 15mm or 20mm cannon. And with that particular one, just advice I should have covered in the first one, burst fire is your friend with that gun. There's some guns that are like that, like the Bofor, 40mm Bofor that the US uses. I have it over here, this 110 footer. The Bofor's the same thing. This thing reloads so quick, they have another magazine ready before the first one's out. And it's very effective, but you overheat like crazy if you don't pay attention to what you're doing. But at any rate, as I was saying, with the low-end one, or any of them really, ammo choice is a major thing. Like, I like, with the low tiers, APIT. Now, the reason behind this is because if you look, there is no armor at all. This thing is pretty much just plywood and maybe some really super thin metal. It's not got any protection value whatsoever. So the way it's going to work low tier especially, people are going to come at you most of the time either head on or sideways. Sideways with these don't work as well because now I only have one gun targeting you. So a lot of them are going to go head on, or they're going to actually park their boat, which just drives me nuts when people do that, but it makes it really easy to kill them. So the AP and the APIT, especially in CBT, it's been nerfed a little bit. I could punch through the front of your boat, hit the bridge, kill the bridge crew, which means you can't maneuver the boat or change anything. It'll just drive in a straight line if you're driving or whatever. It'll stay at that rudder. It'll just lock up until it replaces the crew. But in the meantime, you can penetrate pretty much all the way back to the fuel tank. And the only thing that's going to stop it from penetrating is going to be hard targets such as the ammunition rack and the engine blocks are the hardest thing. And if that somehow doesn't get hit, it'll hit the fuel tanks, or in very rare cases, it'll penetrate out the back. You're not going to get a whole lot of flooding, even with 50 cal machine guns. But there is a really good chance you could set fires. Like I said, APIT is not as powerful as it used to be, but it definitely makes a difference. Like, I used to be able to just fire bursts into people, and it would rip apart all their modules because there'd be so many bolts going through. There's no way there's any crew like hiding in this back module because I've put so much lead down there. That module's destroyed. They changed it so it's not as easy, but it's still overall the most effective way to do it, because otherwise if you're using lighter caliber weapons or HE, especially HE, on these particular boats, it has like no armor, but it still has compartments, so the HE will explode, like say on the nose. It'll completely wipe out the nose. You might even break this pump with the shrapnel, but it won't go any much further. There'll be a little cheap bulkhead that'll keep most of the shrapnel from going into the next room, which basically means when he's heading on you, you can keep shooting all day long. You're not going to be able to sink him unless you destroy all the modules, which kills the crew, or you do a hull damage. You have to do a hull break, which the easiest way to do that is to destroy the ammo racks. Destroying the ammo rack in itself can destroy it as well. or you have to sink it, which is by far the longest, most annoying way to do it, but it does happen on occasion if you don't pay attention. It's normally not too hard with, especially these little boats. You'll flood pretty fast with some of the bigger caliber holes in your boat, which means they weren't using the right ammo or they just weren't aiming properly. But all you gotta do is hit, I think it's 8, and you'll start pumping water out. But AP rounds will go right through, and as you get better, you're gonna get APHE and different variants of that. And the way those work in a boat, because there's no armor, especially these little boats, which you'll still see for a while, it'll penetrate everything and it won't detonate because there's nothing with enough armor to set off the fuse, because it's designed to explode after it penetrates a certain level of armor. Well, there's no armor, so it's not really getting set off. The main things that will set it off are going to be the ammo racks and the engine blocks, because it's an engine block. It's a big chunk of metal. It's definitely going to stop a shell. It will completely destroy the engine in real life, but it'll stop a shell. But because of that, I love them, because it means I'll penetrate, it'll go right through the nose, and then it'll hit this engine block, explode, and it'll damage the nearby engines, and that'll cripple you. If I get lucky, another one will go through, damage the radio or destroy it, miss these, and it'll hit the gas tank. And the gas tank's another thing that's big enough, it'll actually stop the shell, and it'll explode, and I can cause fires. And at this point, I've done enough damage, I might have actually destroyed enough modules that boat's going to be out of commission just because it's out of crew. And it comes in really handy. And then when you get to these bigger boats, you're going to notice there's ammo everywhere. Like, this one's not as bad. If you shoot through, it's a little bit harder to hit the ammunition racks. But they're still there, and there's ammunition in multiple spots. Like, there's 2,000 up here for this gun, and then there's a buttload back down here for these auxiliary cannons. But then you get stuff like these Russians. These Russians are just crazy. They do actually have armor, but it's garbage armor. This will stop machine gun bullets from a decent range, but not close range, but not really AP rounds. Not really AP bullets either. So it's kind of annoyingly worthless, but it might actually set off HE in advance, which is the only good thing. It will help protect you from HE a little bit, mostly just because it'll detonate it. Same with AP HE, there's a chance it might detonate it before it goes through. They'll still send shrapnel inside though. But the big thing when you look at it, if I shoot it on from the front, there's a really good chance I'm going to hit this ammunition rack. Same thing from here. Different angles. Like if I hit you from long ways, it's a little bit harder, but there's definitely really big ammunition racks in here. It makes them really vulnerable, and the way these are clustered up, it's crazy. But this particular one actually has armor on it. 30mm of armor is not enough to stop the APHE, but it is enough. It'll detonate the APHE early, but it'll still send shrapnel all over the place. And it really won't matter if the armor detonates the APHE. If the shrapnel, if it hits around here, it'll actually penetrate and set off this ammunition rack, making it very, very dangerous still. Especially considering the Russians do have the T-34 turrets on their ships, which includes their fun OP ammunition from tanks, the APHE BCs. These are brutal. They have a pretty good TNT equivalent of explosives, so you shoot through somebody, it'll hit their ammo or something else or anything in this area, and it'll explode, and there's a good chance it may hit this fuel tank and explode, and the shrapnel can hit this ammunition rack, damage it, and possibly set it off. Now, it does actually have armor on the turrets as well. I'm going to have trouble showing that, because these are little T-34 turrets. Well, not this particular one, but I don't think this one's one either. This one these are literally just T-34 turrets. The trade-off with this is it's armored fully around, so explosions around it won't kill your crew, but it's slower reloads because they're in a tight space, whereas other ships like this one, they just have that little metal plate in front of them. They have free space, and it makes it a lot easier for the gun crew to reload. This one actually has a little bit of armor on it too. But at the same time, you can just tell by looking at this, the ammo rack's not exactly easiest to hit, but it's not too hard to avoid either. But there's a large cluster of things making APHE and that sort of weapons really effective on these boats. And you got this thing where it's a giant monster thing. It's your first destroyer. There's a lot of empty space in here as well in the front. But for the most part, if you get into here, it'll do damage. The big difference is this is also a bigger scale. So your 76mm explosion is pretty good, but it's not as good as if it was shooting a tank. Because in this particular room, you know, you could fit like 12 guys in if you wanted to cram them in there really hard. Whereas the tank, you couldn't fit more than like 2 or 3 in a Russian tank. But that's what makes it good. And then you come to my favorite type of ammo, which I'm going to do at least one play clip of and try to get some good footage. The Japanese have it, and then the Germans have it. Everyone has it at some point, but they're more dominant here. Like this right here, you have the HEDF. This is an HE round with a distance fuse. So every time the gun crew loads this ammunition, there's a fuse on it with a timer, and they set the timer based on the rangefinder's settings, whatever the rangefinder says. So, and they make an educated guess, and that is completely based off of this gun skill right here, distant fuse accuracy. And you can see right in here how it increases the margin of errors for each range. And for the most part, especially your low tier, I'm not going to be shooting at people from 5,000 meters for the most part. I might actually shoot at destroyers from that range. But at 88mm and a destroyer can do damage, but I'm not going to one-shot people. Even with 4 of them firing, which you can get on occasion to work. But that makes such a huge difference. And the main thing that makes these dangerous is if they can get the timing right, they'll actually penetrate the boat. Because if you look, it's considered armor piercing and also shrapnel effect. So if the timing is correct, at least in the way I want it personally, it'll penetrate a compartment then explode. Or if the timing is a little bit off, it'll explode over the ship. And because these are 80mm flak cannons, they're designed to shoot down aircraft. It sends a lot of shrapnel out everywhere. Like if I explode over this just right, depending on how these guns are facing, the shrapnel will come down and it can damage these guns, kill the gunners. I have to do repairs and I lose a little bit of crew. And because there's no armor, the shrapnel might even be able to penetrate the radio station and kill some people in here and jack up the guy on the bridge. It can do some serious damage. But what makes it most dangerous is on these longer boats and these bigger boats. It can penetrate, explode, and detonate the ammo rack. I'm going to go ahead and try to get a match and show this one off. Alright, I finally got a match. Let's take this thing out and see if I can do some damage. I don't want to carry this much ammunition. I don't know why it likes to top me off. I do want about 300. Still seems like overkill, but there's plenty of times where I'll probably dump 100, maybe. I definitely don't hold back any shots with this thing. And you can tell with this one, down on the left. Oh, wrong button. But down here, I will run this pretty much on AI only, or AA only, because the barge is definitely more susceptible to aircraft than other targets. This thing is also fully upgraded, so she's a little bit more maneuverable than she will be stock. Just like I have improved range finding, which makes a huge difference. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, so close. You can see the explosions are happening about the same time they hit the water. Yeah, and I just one-shot that guy. I broke his hull. That's how explosive this thing is. And the timing was off on those because I just kind of guessed. But it's still very brutal. I managed to break that guy's bridge apart just from the shrapnel. I do like how they made these bigger HE cannons able to hull break the smaller boats, because that was getting really annoying when I was shooting a small boat and all it was doing was gutting out the first compartment. That is a nice change since CBT. But this is definitely my favorite seal clubber. It's pretty brutal. If I get lucky in a match, I can do some serious damage. I mean, there's other ones that are a little more OP, like the one that has whirlwinds instead. It has quite a few 20mm cannons on it. It's very brutal, but it's more like a spray and pray. This thing, I feel like I'm actually using a tiny little bit of skill to use, even if it is mostly relying on my crew skill. Oh, that would have worked too if there wasn't a big vast mountain in my way. There you can see the explosions just went everywhere. It makes it insanely awesome. I love it because of that. Oh, another big boy target. Okay. He's shooting at me. Oh, it's this Chi-8. Okay, that guy's actually basically equivalent to a Boffer. If I wasn't distracted, I probably could have ripped that guy in half. I am not using torpedoes. Part of me wants to use the Fritz, but it's been so long I barely remember how to use it. This is another choice too, like taking this thing out. Something you can really only get away with in arcade, like especially because I'm gonna fly low with it. Well, I guess you could still do it in arcade. Oh, you're not arcade, but realistic tanks. I guess I could, because this is pretty big boy bombs. It's just I'm shooting things a lot bigger, so it's more fun with this. Especially when they bunch up like they are over there. Like if I can get a bomb over there, oh my god. The odds of me getting shot down are pretty high, but I drop these two bombs off right, I might get 4 kills. Ah, I damaged the second one, I bet. Yeah, they killed me. It was way too much AA. This thing is very, very flimsy. In fact, if I would have had the Fritz, I might have actually got 2 kills. But you can see that it could be pretty brutal. That would take out what people definitely argue is the most OP, and I will not fight anyone. This thing, its effective range is about 2.5 kilometers. This is just a spray and pray. But it's the same thing. Ammo choice does make a difference. Like, I'm using AP mostly, but it does have HE in the mix as well. But because of that, if I pepper you, I'm going to just rip right through. I'm going to rip your boat in half. Like you can see, that the ammo is just cutting right through that thing. I know there's targets out here in this water somewhere. There you go. Like, see, I'm even penetrating that turret on it, which I know has a pretty decent amount of armor. But I exploded the ammunition, not because of the HE, but because of the AP managed to penetrate and do enough damage. Yeah, these aren't as OP as they used to be. You can still destroy them pretty easily, but you can definitely see ammo choice makes a difference. This thing isn't as good. Like, I've actually noticed this one's probably better with APT, which I don't know why it's using universal by default. I still got a backup of that one, but I don't want to be that OP. And it's the same thing. This thing only has one AI gunner, so I put him on AA duty. Because he's shooting a cannon, he'll actually fire from like 3 kilometers out. Normally, he's not doing it this time. I don't know why. But I'm using AP. It's another advantage here. The AP is really good against boats, but now that I'm shooting at an aircraft, unless I hit the pilot, the best I can do is rip apart his engine and stuff, whatnot. But most of my shells are just going to cut right through the thing, which I don't necessarily want. Ooh, I forgot how long this thing takes to turn. I just go, oh, I'm still in the circle. Good. I haven't really seen any high threat targets. That BB is the highest threat. I'm going to make sure my AI gunner knows to look at it. Like, this guy's just going to be annoying. Yeah, he's more distracting me, so I drive into stuff than anything else. Let's get my queue lined up in case I actually find someone with torpedoing. I don't think so. It looks like they're just using G5s to get out there and quickly uncap. I start spamming G5s in a match like this, it's normally means they're pretty low. You see, that was a pretty good lead with my equipment there. That guy's probably the most dangerous threat, so I'm going to mark him for my AI gunner there. I'm even heading the right way. I am not heading to B. I'm so distracted by overhead targets. But that also makes a difference too for what you want your AI gunners to do. Like, a lot of times I'll have them use HE just because I need them to save my life from aircraft. So it may make them less useful for attacking ships that are close range, but it definitely makes a difference when they're not. Because if me and him are sticking together, we're actually top squad. Even though we're not actually talking to each other or working together. That's what I was saying in my basic video. If you do get teamed up, either by default or on purpose, stick together even just a little bit. And just being active near each other does a huge difference. Like, I'm going to get a little bonus just for this. I definitely scored a lot better than he did. Wow, I didn't expect to get that high a score. Or I did more damage. That's insane how much damage I did. I'm number 2 for damage. Whew. Number 1 on my team for damage. Yeah, you can see like the different ammo types. Like I said, it makes a difference. Like with these, it's 20 millimeters, so it's the same effect I was going with those machine guns I was talking about, like with the 50 cals. My goal is to penetrate, damage, and hopefully set off some ammunition racks. No, time to wake up, AI gunner. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, I guess hit some wreckage over here. Oh, nice. I got a new portrait. Nice. Well, that concludes my little second part of my series, just on ammunition. I'll give a pretty good demonstration of it in action. I wouldn't mind running one of these later, just so I can show off those AP HE-BCs. Those are brutal, but like, if you ever driven a T-34 been shot by one, you know how dangerous those are. But yeah, this sums up the video. Pretty good. Well, it ends up the video pretty good. If you liked it and somehow made it to this point, please hit like, subscribe, leave a comment. Yeah, let me know if I should be making more of these, or maybe show some footage of this. Maybe I can get Sean to play a little of this. I did get him to play tanks. I couldn't get him to play boats, which is sad. I didn't get him to watch this series. But anyway, have fun. Enjoy your game. Check out some of my VR videos if you feel like it.